And that can be a pretty slippery slope, which is why I really, really like just one full day dedicated to doing absolutely nothing. You feel like garbage, but guess what? That next day, it's the best day of your week. You get everything moving because you're so far behind from taking one day off. And that's really, really efficient. So, talking about doing so much, but absolutely nothing on one day is called efficiency. It's something that I learned. And I learned by doing it the hard way first. Welcome to this episode of the SCULPTED podcast. I don't even know why I've done an intro. Intros suck, and you probably don't even care about the intro. But anyways, this episode is all about the SCULPTED app. Why did I make it? Where are we right now? What's in it for you? Going to be short, going to be simple, straightforward. Okay. This is almost like a pitch. What the SCULPTED app is. Okay. Now, if you don't know much about me, if you don't know much about what the SCULPTED app is in terms of, I haven't talked about it too much. But the philosophy of sculpting. Okay. The analogy that I'll give you. If you have a rock that was to represent your life, let's imagine it's a big piece of sandstone or cobblestone or marble, whatever you want it to be, whatever represents you the most. You choose you choose that block of stone or whatever it is. If you wanted to make that represent your life, would you use an angle grinder and just grind away at it? Would you get like a, chainsaw? It's definitely not going to work. But would you? Would you get a chainsaw and, crack away at it? Probably not. Because eventually, what will you be left with? Probably nothing. You'll probably be just left with a bit of dust at the end of it. Now, what is a better way of doing it? Is it getting a chisel and slowly sculpting away at it? You want it to be pretty nice. You want it to be pretty accurate. You want it to be beautiful because it's representing your life. You would start chiseling away at it. You wouldn't use an angle grinder. You wouldn't use something else to just, get rid of half the thing. You'd actually use it pretty strategically, and it'd take a lot longer. But remember, this is representing your life. You want this to be beautiful. So, you want to sculpt it. Sculpting, okay? Now, talking a little bit about how this is more translatable to your life, okay? Working smarter and harder. What is that? So I can work really hard at something and be left with nothing. I could work really, really hard at making my handwriting really, really perfect. I could do that. But where's it going to get me? I'm going to have really nice handwriting, but is that valuable to people? Probably not too valuable. Okay, let's go with that same handwriting thing. Now, if I was to work really, really hard at it, but then work at it a little bit smarter, well, actually, handwriting could be really valuable to people. So how about I find those people and give that value to them and sell it to them in a product maybe. Now I'm working smarter and harder. I really like handwriting. I don't like doing the business side, but if I'm, working and thinking smarter here, I can probably do less handwriting, do it for more of a sustainable, long-time vision because I'm actually getting paid to do it because eventually I'll probably have to get a job if I just continue working on my handwriting. But if I make handwriting my job, well, that's working smarter and harder. So if I'm able to do that, then that's more efficient than just doing one or the other. If I'm just working smart, then that's not too smart. Even, maybe working smart's just working on the business side, that's probably not too smart because you're not working very hard. Now, that's where combining the two works very well. Now, where I bring this into reality, again, is, okay, if your life is representing this handwriting example and you're just going through the motions every single day, eventually you're going to realize that this is unsustainable. I can't keep just, doing my handwriting because it's not getting me anywhere. I've got to worry about where my next meal comes from. I've got to worry about, this and that because life gets in the way. Life will always win. So how can I make my life work with me? I don't want it to work against me. If I really love handwriting, if I think that it's, really cool to do, okay, you can still do it, but make it work for you. So working smarter and harder, okay. How can you turn that into something that you can keep doing? Now, the example of working smarter and harder is actually quite difficult to do, and that's why there's a reward for it. Like if it was so easy, then everyone would do it, but not many people do it, and that's why it's so valuable. Therefore, that's inflation. That's literally what inflation is, right? The more someone has of something, the less value it has. Now, when there's inflation on many things, then it has less value because everyone's got it. So when more people have less of it, then it starts to become valuable because people want things that others don't. It's a sign of status. It's a sign of acquisition. It's a sign of power. It's whatever you see it as in terms of positively in this situation, of course. That's what value is. That's what value is. Whether it's an exchange, whether it's the perceived value around something. Imagine if everyone had diamond. Like there's like a planet in the solar system where it rains diamonds. I don't know if that's, maybe I just fell for like some myth. I don't know. But in this hypothetical situation where there is one, maybe, guess what? Diamonds aren't that crazy there, because if it rains every single day and it's raining diamonds, then guess what? Aluminium foil is probably really valuable there because they've got nothing of it. Like they've got a lot of diamonds, valuable for others, but it's not valuable for me because I need my aluminium foil for some reason. So value can also be artificial. Okay. Thinking about the correlation between the Sculpted app. Now, I gave you the examples of working smarter and harder. I gave you the examples of sculpting. And then additionally, I kind of spoke about how the proactive side. I want to lean onto that proactive side a little bit more, which is talking about how you should kill the baby. You should kill the baby before it's a monster. Now, hopefully that doesn't get clipped because I kind of said something crazy. Kill the baby. Don't kill the baby. But kill the baby before it's a monster in this situation. Definitely do that. Because what happens if, let's say, you are unaware that, let's say I've got that plant growing behind me there. Now that's a fake plant, but in this case, imagine this plant is a plant that is a house-eating plant, and with enough time, it will grow and eat your house from the inside out. Now, that's a hypothetical situation. If you couldn't tell, obviously not. That was so dead. Anyways, let's imagine that this plant is a house-eating plant, and it grows really quickly, but I think nothing of it, and I don't know that it's a house-eating plant. In 10 years' time, it has the prediction to eat my whole entire house and me with it. Let's say that. If I didn't know that, then I'd just leave it there and it'd be slowly growing, and 10 years later, I'd be gone and the house with it, okay? We'd all be gone. Now, that's not a smart way of doing things. You could be working really hard at things that are outside of that plant that you've got no idea that that's the thing that's going to kill you. It's being proactive. So in my life, I always want to have things in my life that are keeping me aware of how I can stay on top of it, because I don't want that plant to ever grow too long so that I forget about it and it takes over my life. So what do? Okay, well, I have processes every single week. So every single week on a Wednesday, I have 5 different processes, and every 2 weeks I complete the next one, the next 2, 3. So I can even get this up for you. And this is going to be hopefully eventually part of the Sculpted app. I can't say it will be. I would like to incorporate this in somehow, but I can't guarantee it. Okay, so the processes that I have is a self-assessment. I have an action plan for that self-assessment. I then have pre-narratives, which I go through. And then I have a vision and perspective, and then I have 4 A's. Now, this is my list. It used to be a lot more when I was playing football because I needed it a lot more. But this is my list for life. My list for life at the moment. My current life that I live. It's not as high performance as it used to be with football. Therefore, it requires a little bit less, but it requires a bit more business stuff now. Now, this is where athletes can learn a lot from business, because in business, this is pretty standard to have. Whether it's your financial report, whether it's your employee report, whatever it is, there's a lot of evaluations and business practices that should be implemented in sports people's lives. Now, I had it the other way around because I had a really, really great person help me with this. And I've had him twice on this podcast, and his name's John Johnston. And he helped me with this during COVID. So at the beginning of COVID, I worked with him, and I was able to create all of these processes. And it was primarily for football at the time, and these aren't the same processes that we worked on at the time with him. I think one of them is maybe the pre-narratives and the 4 A's, which is the 4 things of awareness. So it comes through address is the first thing, awareness, action, and then the last A is assess. So those 4 A's. It could be anything in your life, whether it's not getting enough sleep like me at the moment, whether it's X, Y, or Z. That's just giving you an awareness piece on, do this, This is what I'm thinking. I saw this. This is the behavior that's typically correlated with this action. Let's take action against it, and then let's assess if that's the right action or not. Now, I can go into those actions a little bit, but this isn't what I'm selling you at the moment. I'm selling you the Sculpted app. How does this correlate? Well, this is the same approach of being proactive. Every day, if you can just do your journal, that's enough. You're staying aware enough right now. We can do more. Don't get me wrong. There's always room for more. And there's always room for less, but that's efficiency, and we're not there yet. So for you, let's do the bare minimum every single day, because a lot of people will just put themselves too far. They'll do all this planning and they'll say, yep, I'm going to start with, I'll wake up at 5 a.m. I'll go for a 20-kilometer run. I'll do 17,000 push-ups. I'll go to the gym afterwards, and then I'll have my nice meal after breakfast. Maybe you can do that for one day. Maybe you can do it for 2 days. You know what? Maybe you get a whole week. But guess what? Maybe you eat 2 Oreos and you stuffed it up. And where do you start? You start even further behind where you originally started. And this is a very common loop for a lot of people. I've been there. I didn't last long because I realized it was unsustainable, but I've been there. And these things aren't sustainable practices of self-development. I think it's 75 hard. I've never done it, and I will never do it. I don't believe in that. Because why don't you just do that every single day? Why is it only for 75 days? Imagine if you could live your whole life like that. There's a reason why January the 1st is where most people are most accountable. It's because it's a realization. You're realizing, oh gosh, life's really, moving fast, therefore I got to take action. Imagine if January 1st was every single day for you. Wouldn't you be living one of the best lives? Imagine that. January 1st, the same energy that you bring to January 1st as every single day. Just bring January the 1st energy every single day. How about that? Working smarter and harder. It's smarter to do that. It's a lot harder to do it, but guess what? It's much more efficient than the other person who only does it once a year. When someone only does January 1st energy for once a year, it's pretty easy to do, 1 out of 365. How about 365 out of 365? If you can do that every single day, fair. But this is where the Sculpted app comes in, because you can't do 365 out of 365, because you can't do absolutely nothing and you can't do absolutely everything. So how can we mitigate that? Okay, so this is what the Sculpted app is also doing. You should have 1 rest day a week. Now, I haven't been able to do this in the past few weeks, so I will be 100% honest. And I'm really struggling with it because I've got a lot on my plate at the moment, and hopefully I will be able to put this rest day back in. But I've also been in a bit of a transition period in my life where I couldn't really afford that luxury. But I definitely do intend to put that rest day back in, because it is unsustainable actually working for 7 days a week and going all in every day. It's unsustainable. And I've made an episode actually about this called why you should have a rest day. And I think it's more prevalent for athletes as well, just on their body. But I think in business and everything like that, it can make you more efficient. Now, it may not have to be a whole day. It could be a segment of hours. And that's typically what I've been doing at the moment. But also when it's only a segment of hours, then it's only a segment of hours. And then you can do it on a Monday. And when you can do it on a Monday, when it's outside of your rest day, you can do it on Tuesday. And that can be a pretty slippery slope, which is why I really, really like just 1 full day dedicated to doing absolutely nothing. You feel like garbage. But guess what? That next day, it's the best day of your week. You get everything moving because you're so far behind from taking 1 day off. And that's really, really efficient. So, talking about doing so much, but absolutely nothing on 1 day is called efficiency. It's something that I learned. And I learned by doing it the hard way first. Now, is that the perfect way? I don't know. I don't know what your situation is. For me, it works. I think it's a pretty good rule of thumb. Okay, if we think about attention and work as if it's energy, I couldn't do an ultra marathon every single day. Eventually, I'm going to have to stop. Okay, let's put a rest day in there. Okay, so the Sculpted app incorporates rest days. Now, let's talk about the gamification part, because I kind of skipped that part. The gamification part. Okay, every single day, if you're able to do the bare minimum, you get a score. This score will then tell you what your sculpting score is every single day. Okay, so now you've got a benchmark. Sweet. Got the benchmark for what a sculpting day is. Okay. If I get 100% today and I get 100% tomorrow, but I did more today than I did tomorrow, is 100% still 100%? No, it's not. So what we're going to do is we're going to incorporate a CP system, like XP, as if you're the main character in your video game. You're getting more crafting points as you go on, because the person who does 1 thing and does the bare minimum on their day, and the person who does 20 things in their day, and that's their bare minimum, well, guess what? The person who does 1, they get 100%. That's worth 100% CP. The person next to him, who's doing 20 things every single day and still getting 100% sculpting score, they're getting 120 points for their CP. And this isn't a direct, that's not what the algorithm is. It'll be something like that. But the person who's doing more and still doing their bare minimum is much more efficient than the person who's doing their bare minimum and doing like one thing a day. So how do we reward them, incentivize that person to keep doing more? And when they do more, it also means much more than the person who's only been doing one for a little while, because the compound effect. So they're very efficient. What takes them 1 hour takes this person 20 hours to do. And they've done it for 5 hours today, and they've only done 6 hours of work. Well, this person's just done a week's work in their 1 day. So we reward that, we incentivize that, and that's where the sculpting score comes in. Now, with the sculpting score and with the CP score, we can then trade that for real life things. Now, whether it's you want to get, sculpted merch, whether it's you want to get 20% off at Sint supplements. Now, these aren't actually real examples, although they should be, because hopefully once we have the full app out, the Sculpted clothing line will be fully out, and hopefully as well, we can get a discount with Sint, because my boy Val and Sint, big things coming. But I don't know what the actual discount price will be with Sint, so Val, don't quote me on that. 20% could be nice for the listeners, I don't know, or for the sculptors, for the architects. Or maybe, we could even work out a better deal for them, because I can probably get those architects doing really well to be incentivized to take action. Because also, the other thing is, I want to incentivize people to take action. And when maybe their best interest isn't good enough for them to take action, then I need to incentivize them to do so. So what do? Okay, if you get this, CP point for today, you're one step closer to getting this. And this is where, this could be, sculpted merch. This could be 20% off sculpted merch. This could be early access to something. It could be you get bonus content for the Sculpted podcast. Whatever it is, we want to incentivize people who work hard and work smart. And remember, the Sculpted app isn't about working hard, okay? Because there's 10 different things that you need to take care of every single day. Now, it won't start off at that. You've got to do the bare minimum. And the bare minimum is just doing your journal. And if you can do just your journal for every single day, that's okay. You're sculpting. In the Sculpted app, there'll be something called rest days or recovery days, revival days. It will be called a maintenance day and then a sculpting day. Sculpting day is above 80%. A revival day is under 50%. And a maintenance day is anywhere from 50 to 80%. So to get a sculpting day, you've got to be doing pretty well. You've got to be doing the bare minimum. Now, by completing your journal, that's the only way that you can actually get a sculpting day. So imagine you do everything in your day, but you forget to fill out your journal. Well, guess what? It wasn't good enough. You didn't get a sculpting day. That's not how it works. We don't give out handouts here. Therefore, always fill out your journal. That is the bare minimum. Now, most likely though, in the early stages of the app, you'll kind of have to fill out your journal anyways to get your sculpting score. That's just probably how it's going to work, because we won't have enough features to actually roll it out properly. But in this case, we'd like to imagine a few years down the line, maybe the Sculpted app's fully out, everything's working well. That's how it would work. Okay? Fill out your journal, bare minimum, done. Work on that every single day. Add a little bit more to it. See how much you can handle. See how much you can do. When you start being a little bit inefficient with your time, maybe you're getting a little bit, distracted, whatever it is, it probably means something's wrong. Maybe it's you've done too much of this. Maybe you haven't done enough of this. And this is where the behaviors can really correlate. So imagine, I look at my sculpting score and I keep on thinking, why is it not great this past week? And then I look at what my trackers are saying, and then I look at my sleep, and then I look at my to-do list, and I'm thinking, wait, there's a direct correlation between how much sleep I get and my to-do list every single day. And then guess what? When I do less of my to-do list, I get worse sleep. And these behaviors will tell you how your behavioral psychology works. And this is where the Sculpted app is really, really purposeful there. So I've given a lot about the Sculpted app there. And that's a 20-minute pitch almost. I don't want to go into too much, because I've also told you a lot about what the app is going to be. I've given you a lot of the features that won't be out for a while, but that's the plan for the app. It's very, very purposefully designed, and it's there to incentivize you if you don't want to take action. It's there to reinforce positive behaviors. It's there to give you an awareness piece, and it's there to keep you ahead of the curve, because life will always win. But if you can stay ahead of the controllables, guess what? You're always going to win. And if you've got that mindset, whatever comes your way, you'll be able to control. So, with that being said, I hope that you were sold enough by the Sculpted app. Now, it's not there yet, but if you do want to see it there, please sign up to our waitlist. That will give me more traction to share with investors so we can get this product out. We are in test flight. Hopefully, I can start adding those people who are on the waitlist into test flight as well to start testing it. But please, if you are interested in the Sculpted app, make sure that you do subscribe to the waitlist. We'll keep you updated every single week. There's sick content coming from there as well. And stay up to date everything that we're doing with the Sculpted app, because there is lots and lots to come with that. But anyways, hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will catch you next week.